everybody. This is Sua Hawari from Combat Point. Today I'm talking with Jon J. Franklin, CEO of Glory. Hi, John. How are you doing?
I am doing great. It's amazing we have the technology. We can do this across the world. I'm sitting in Denver, Colorado.
And I'm
You're
sitting in The
in
Hague.
Europe. So
Yeah.
I'm
So,
always this.
hey, for the people who don't know you, could you please tell a little bit more about yourself to the world?
Yeah, happy to do that. Happy to be on here. Happy to do that. I have been CEO of Glory for the last 2 years. Glory had a bit of a reset and asked me to take this job. It's been a pleasure. It's the best job in the world, I think. Um, I had been working with Glory since Glory 4. Originally, I was approached by Glory's television agent to help them get Glory on television. Glory 4 was a New Year's Eve special event from Tokyo in conjunction with Dream MMA. So it was about 8 hours of kickboxing and MMA. Goken Saki, Semi Shield, all the big names were at that event. It was actually a 16-man tournament.
And where was that?
That was in Tokyo,
In Tokyo.
New Year's Eve 2013. And I was able to get that on CBS Sports Network in the U.S. And the company that was one of the founding members of Glory, Total Sports Asia, and I had worked together on a number of projects over the years. I helped them with television rights in the U.S., so they called me, and I ended up going out to that event and saying, wow, this is amazing. Glory kickboxing is incredible because it's fast, it's furious. And, having been to a lot of MMA events, including UFC 1 here in Denver, Colorado at McNichols Arena in, like 1993, I saw that
Yeah.
everybody cheers when people are standing up and fighting, and everyone boos when they're on the ground in the corner rolling around. So I thought, I'd seen some K1. I knew Ray Seppo from some boxing business I'd done. But when I saw Glory, it just reminded me of what kickboxing can be. It's fast, it's furious, a lot of knockouts, great action, and Glory rules are amazing, no clinching. So in any event, I worked on that event and then started helping them with their Road to Glory events in the United States and helping them with promotion, found some sponsors for them. My background had been as a sponsorship guy and an athlete agent. I had worked for IMG for 15 years. I had actually worked for Mike Tyson's group twice in my career, once from 99 to 2002. In fact, the last fight I did with Mike Tyson was in Copenhagen against Brian Nielsen. And if I get the word wrong, the year wrong, it was either 2001 or 2002. It was Tyson versus Nielsen in Copenhagen. And worked with Mike on 5 fights then, and then ultimately right before I started with Glory in the CEO role, I was working with Mike on Iron Mike Productions, which is a company he had started with a partner to try and become a boxing promoter, aka like Oscar De La Hoya and that group. So Mike was starting that, and we actually produced the television for all his shows for Fox Sports and for syndication. And right about the same time, I got asked by Glory to be the CEO, and for about 6 months worked together with Mike and with Glory, and then ultimately, beginning of 2015, came into the CEO role at Glory full time.
And what is your what is your job? What do? You do the marketing, you do the rights, you do what is your main task?
Well, ridiculously enough, I'm at the top of the food chain. So when I was boxing supervisor for the Olympics in London in 2012, they asked me to do that, and they sent me this org chart. And my assistant and I were looking at this org chart they had sent, and we couldn't find me on it. And then Breyer goes, "Wait a minute, there you are at the top." So that's sort of, you always report to somebody. And here at Glory, I report to the board, our founder, Pierre Andurant, a couple of founding board members, Scott Rudman and Paul Carter. So I report to those guys. But actually, I'm at the top, and I have a talent operations guy from Amsterdam, Cor Hemmers, who works on talent and has a few people working for him. I have events people like Bert van der Rijn in Amsterdam and Jorge Marin here in the United States, and PR people in New York like John Beer and Eric Jackman. So a whole group of people working really hard to make Glory successful and bring it to the next level.
All right. And what's the main objective for Glory for the upcoming years? What are you trying? Which goals are
Well,
you trying to reach?
we're trying to expand. We're the number one kickboxing league in the world. We're trying to do more events for our fans. We're trying to reach out to more television networks, give us more of a presence on TV, get more sponsors to support us, and basically make it bigger and better. Ultimately, that helps the athletes. As we get bigger and better, as we sell more tickets and more TV rights, we can increase the prize money that we pay to our athletes. So it's better for the athletes, it's better for the fans, basically take Glory to the next level.
And how do you see the future of kickboxing?
I see it as strong. Like I said right at the start, the sport is fast, it's furious, it's amazing. I think it's got all the good parts of every combat sport. You take boxing fans, they like it because it's faster. Boxing matches are 9 to 12 rounds. They take a long time. There's a lot of clinching, a lot of holding. Even if you watch Floyd Mayweather, best boxer in the world, it's a lot of defense and trying to make sure you don't get hit.
Mhm.
In Glory, it's the opposite. People are trying to get hit, and there's a lot of knockouts. People come in very aggressive. Interestingly enough, after Floyd Mayweather's fight with Manny Pacquiao, there were a number of writers in the U.S. that said, "Boy, that was okay, but if you really want to see some great combat, look at Glory," because we were following them by a week. I think they were in Las Vegas and we were in LA the next week. And they said, now, if you want to see some real fighting, watch Glory next week in Las Vegas or in Los Angeles.
That's a great compliment.
Yeah, great compliment. So I believe in the product, that's for sure. Like I said, I went to that match in Tokyo 3 years ago, and I said, wow, this is amazing. This has the potential to take the world by storm.
Aren't you a bit afraid of the main threat for the sport, and that's the crossover of kickboxing fighters to the MMA?
Well, I think a lot of fighters jump over to MMA because they see the money at the top, and they very quickly realize that unless you're Conor McGregor or Ronda Rousey, you're fighting for similar purses in smaller MMA promotions. And even when you jump over to the UFC, until you get to the highest level, it's a slog. It's a hard way to go. So we can deliver better television exposure globally, often than the UFC. And if you become our champion, there's money here. So I never want to tell an athlete not to go for his dreams. And if your dream is MMA, hey, go for it. But I think there's a great opportunity in Glory as well to become a global sports star through kickboxing.
And the expansion that you're aiming for, that is, we've seen the Thai press conference. If you haven't seen it, go to glory.com or Facebook or YouTube and watch the press conference that they had in Thailand. But is the Thai market interesting for you, or is Japan and Asia, or Japan and China, your main target?
Well, actually, you did such a great job saying where to go to look at these things that you should have my job. I'm supposed to be doing that. But one of our goals right now, we've got a lot of goals, but one of our goals is to fill in the gaps in the markets where we're not. And we're trying to approach each market strategically. We do have a television agent, and we do go to Sportel and the television trade shows and try and expand our footprint as much as possible. We're in close to 200 countries, and we want to go more. But we do have some gaps in our distribution. And one of the gaps was Thailand. And Thailand is not a place where we should have a gap. There are great Muay Thai fighters that come out of there. Thai boxing, it's the most famous, groundswell of stand-up fighting in the world.
Exactly. Yotsink Lai, Sidichai.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we said, hey, we got to do something. What should we do? So we went and signed up a couple of Thai fighters. We started with Sidichai like a year ago. We picked up a few more, and we decided we better announce this. We can't do this quietly. We've got to make a big splash. We had no TV deal in Thailand. And out of our press conference, we were able to secure a great deal with True 4 TV in Thailand, one of the big networks there. So it's certainly worth it. We're going to be able to bring our brand of stand-up fighting now mainstream in Thailand by using some Thai fighters and having this TV deal. Likewise, in Africa, we're now on Fox Africa. Zach Mikasa is a champion from the People's Republic of
Congo.
Congo.
Yeah.
And, through Zach, we were able to, not through him, but because we have him, I think we were able to, expand our footprint into Africa in a big way. And now we're looking to do that in other countries, try and pick off countries one by one where we don't have a good presence. We need to step it up in England, British Isles. We need to do a better job in Germany. We need to, there's some markets in Russia we've got to attack. So we're looking at these markets one by one and investing in the market and things like press conferences and signing fighters to try and, again, expand our global footprint and bring Glory Kickboxing to more and more fans around the world.
And are you? There are some local promoters who have great fighters like K1, Top King, EM Legend in the Asian market. Is that something that you is it a threat to Glory, or are those organizations a possible partner for Glory?
Well, as I've said, when Bellator started doing kickboxing, we had done some shows in conjunction with Bellator in the past. The more kickboxing there is, the better it is for everyone. So, if you look at other sports, the more car racing, the better it is for F1. And the more baseball in Japan, the better it is for baseball in America. So I think the more we get out there, the better it is for everyone. It's better for the fighters because they have more opportunities. It's better for the fans because they see it more. And, I don't think we'll ever be in the same cities on the same night selling tickets. So if Bellator does a big promotion and then we show up, in some city a few weeks later, we're going to sell more tickets because they're bringing kickboxing to more people. Likewise in China, maybe we will partner with somebody there. But you'll see some announcements of what we're doing in China, and we're going to go in there in a big way shortly. It's one of the markets that we've targeted, like Thailand, where we're gonna move into that market. And when we want to do it, we want to do it right with a good TV deal. We're on Lit TV there now, but we want to expand that a bit, and we want to start working with people in China to do some shows there. So, stand by, stay tuned. We'll talk about China shortly.
All right, all right, very interesting. So the TV deals and the ticket sales are your main sources of income. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a complex model. If it was very complicated, like some of the financing models I see out there, I wouldn't have this job because I'm not smart enough to handle it. But basically,
You're far too modest.
We basically got ticket sales, you've got TV revenue, you've got a little bit of merchandising and licensing, and you've got sponsorship. And your value of your sponsorship, obviously increases the more television exposure you have.
Yeah.
So where I've had success in my career is selling big title sponsorships, multi-million-dollar sponsorships for global sports leagues. And then, the TV rights. You can't produce these shows in a manner that one television network can support them. So you got to go around the world, and it's great programming for a TV network. If they were going to produce a show like this, it would cost them, $1 million.
Exactly.
Instead, they can buy the rights for a number less than that. And then if you start multiplying out countries, then it starts to add up. So right now, our number one source of revenue is international TV rights.
Yeah.
Next is ticket sales, and last is sponsorship. We want to reverse that model a bit and sell a title sponsorship. In Europe, we sell tickets. We sell out arenas in Amsterdam. We, did great with our debut in Paris. We sold a lot of tickets there in what they called the Palace of Kickboxing from 20 years ago, Versailles Arena. We went back there.
Yeah.
And then we've been doing better in the U.S. in sponsorship. So we've got a couple of national sponsors in Europe or in the United States. So the ticket sales in America is still a work in progress. We've got a little ways to go to convince the American public that they've got to show up and buy tickets. We're doing better and better. We went to Citizens Business Bank Arena in Los Angeles 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we came back again a couple months ago. Our ticket sales were up 40%, and we spent 80% less marketing in the local area.
Wow.
So when we go back from city to city, we do better. So, the data points, the numbers are headed the right direction. We're selling more tickets all the time in America, but we're not there yet. We still need to do better. We've got to start selling out bigger and bigger arenas. We come to Amsterdam, we can sell, 10,000 seats. We've sold 10,000 seats in Istanbul with Bill Kinsaki. We've sold 10,000 seats in Zagreb with Mirko Krokop.
Yeah.
But, we don't have a marquee fighter like that yet in America. It's going to start attracting, the big ticket sales. So that's a work in progress for us.
All right. I gotta ask. You had a lot of hopes for Joe Schilling. He was obviously not happy with the situation he had at Glory. Uh, what are your thoughts on that situation?
Well, I'm a fan of Joe Schilling's. I'm a fan of, what he's done for kickboxing. I think we did a lot for Joe at the beginning of his career. I remember him crying after, I think it was Last Man Standing when he won a $100,000 prize. He didn't have gas money to, drive to the building in those days. And, he won money. He had tears in his eyes thanking us for all we did. He was on a Joe Rogan podcast last week. If you want to watch that, he talked about all Glory has actually done for kickboxing. It was almost the opposite of what he had said 2 weeks before.
All right.
So, everybody has moods and, like I said, I'm a fan of his and, obviously nobody likes it when an athlete comes out and says some things, but I think he gave it some thought and, like I said on the podcast last week with Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
he said, Glory's done a lot for the sport and all that. I think there were some misunderstandings towards the end of his career with some of our staff members and all of that, and maybe not everything got translated properly. So I'm trying to do better with communication between, staff and athletes and all that. So, I wish Joe the best. Our chairman, Pierre Honduran, posted a note on Joe's Facebook saying, hey, Joe, I remember there was a time we were all friends and you've done a lot for the sport, and we're trying to do what we can for the sport, and we wish him well. That's all I can say.
All right. Now, very good. Very, very good. What was your most successful event over the last 2 years?
Well, it depends on how you assess, right? We've had some great matches, and you always want your best matches to be in the biggest arenas with the best TV ratings. So, if you look at our success from a business standpoint, getting on ESPN, they hadn't really held any kickboxing ever. I think since the baggy pants 9 round, no padded foot days back in the 80s. They had some kickboxing then. They don't show MMA on ESPN. It's they consider themselves a family network, and some of the the MMA fights look a little gory at the end of the day. So as of now, as we sit here, they don't have an MMA league on ESPN. So it was a big step. They're the #1 sports network in the world. They actually, I was reading something in Bloomberg a couple of days ago that said they're not just the #1 sports network in the world, they're the #1 network in the world by revenue and a bunch of other matrices. Right. So to take Glory and go from an entertainment network that only hosts a couple of sports to the #1 sports network, maybe the #1 network in the world, was a huge step. So now we're on with Wimbledon, we're on with the NFL, we're on with the NBA, we're on with the top sports in the world, Major League Soccer, Premier League. I think Premier League's on Fox, but Major League Soccer. But anyway, we're on, the #1 platform. So I think that was huge. So, it's a direct pipeline to the American sports fan, and it helps us with international sales because it gives us some credibility. If you're talking to any international network and they know that you're on ESPN live, they know that you've got quality, and they know that you're, obviously can deliver what you say you can deliver. So that was a big step, gave us a lot of credibility. Second, we struck a deal with UFC to be on Fight Pass. So we're the exclusive UFC kickboxing provider for a pretty long period. And, they have embraced us. So there was a time when we mistakenly thought that the UFC and other, MMA leagues were competition, when in fact, they're just, complementary to us because
you do something different. You're not fishing in each other's pond.
Yeah,
The Fight Pass is an advantage for both the UFC and Glory. I
yeah. It's a global platform for us, and it's great branding. It solidly cements us as the number one kickboxing league in the world. UFC is the number one MMA promotion by far, and we're the number one kickboxing promotion. We're really the only global kickboxing promotion in a big way. So I think from a business standpoint, those two relationships are really important. And I think also we left Spike in America, but we picked up Spike in Holland.
yeah.
So from an outside standpoint, I think the world can see that we're making great strides. So I think to carry on, from a business standpoint on the television side, we're making good inroads. That's one source of revenue. The sponsorship side, we've got a few new sponsors. We signed a new one in Europe. We were really leading the way in America with sponsors, but now we're also starting to knock off some sponsors in Europe, which is great. And athletically, we've got great fighters. Simon Marcus, Canadian champion, Rico Verhoeven, champion from Holland, Zach Mikasa, interim champion from Africa. We are truly an international sports league, and you just don't see that much of it. Football is big in America. Tour de France is big in Europe. Skiing is big in Europe. We are truly global, like tennis or like golf. It's amazing.
And you're venturing in new markets like the United Kingdom. Glory 34, Manchester. Your
Well,
first.
I don't know if that's the case. We're still sorting out the schedule for the rest of the year.
All right.
Um, we actually will announce our September show at the July show,
Okay.
and then move forward from there. As we mentioned, we're working on Rico Verhoeven versus Badre Hari fight. We're trying to put that together with the athletes, with a venue.
Rumors
With,
are rumors are that the only thing that needs to be done is that Badr Hari needs to sign. So, are you giving us an exclusive here, or?
I talked about that in Amsterdam a couple of weeks ago. So
Yeah.
we're still working away, but we can't announce our December show until we put that together. And then there's some venue issues too. We have to decide where the best place for that will be. We've got to clear it with TV. There's a lot of steps. So nothing to announce yet, but hopefully we'll get there.
There is already a venue that started the ticket sales for that fight.
Yeah, that's Bootleg. They're going to be pretty embarrassed when they have to refund any money they've collected.
All right.
So hopefully that's for real.
All right.
I saw that on the internet and said, "Boy, that's a bootleg," and sent it over to our Amsterdam office with a what the, So, we're working on straightening that one out, but
All right.
you should know that did not come from us.
Okay. Well, going to the end of this interview, are there any things you want to share for the future, or what can the fan expect for the future?
Well, I think as we go into 2017, we want to do more fights, expand our footprint, pick up some new areas. Our goals are, get more international fighters, which also means more Americans at the top level. So we'll look at doing some Road to Glory events in America, some Road to Glory events in Brazil, maybe some in England, maybe some in Thailand. So expand the base of the pyramid to get more and more fighters involved with Glory from all over the world. So that's an important initiative for us. Like I said, expand our television footprint into the major countries where we're not already. Anybody can watch us on Everview pay-per-view, but we really want major networks in the top countries in the world to cover Glory. We've got that in America. We've got that with the UFC Fight Pass. Now we need to do it in a few of those holes, those countries that we're missing. And of course, put on great fights and bring it to our fans and do more and more for our athletes. Try and increase budgets, increase prize money, but do it in a responsible way that's sustainable for the promotion. Right now we cut back in the middle of 2014. We ran a full season in 2015, and we're trying to make this promotion really stand on its own and be viable globally. So step by step.
Growing
over here,
step by
growing.
step. Hey, one
Yeah.
last question. Do you have a favorite fighter?
Um, I have a couple of favorite fighters actually.
All right, name them.
Being American, I love Dustin Jacoby. He came to the first Road to Glory event, which was an 8-man tournament. He had not kickboxed. He fought his way through against a couple of guys that were tournament favorites, won that tournament. He then, dove into the real kickboxing at the highest level and got, frankly, his ass kicked a couple of times, but he never gave up. And in that, he actually went to Bellator and went back and fought King Mo Lawal.
Yeah.
So in the middle of his kickboxing career, he took a fight against King Mo because he had come from, he had been a UFC fighter. He then said, hey, I got to focus on kickboxing. And he won 2 more tournaments over here. So he won two more tournaments, and he had a couple of major fights where he lost. And I was looking at his record, and I realized he's won every tournament fight he's been in, and he's lost every individual fight. So I just think it's a unique and compelling and interesting story about a guy who really came from the grassroots programs here. Zach Mikasa, I think, is
Yeah.
cool. He kind of came out of nowhere. We fought him in Denver against the UFC fighter,
Man,
Pat Barry. Pat
exactly.
Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we fought him against Pat Barry. Sort of thought, oh, Pat Barry can take this guy out and move up in the ranks of glory, get Pat Barry back to his roots as a kickboxer after he dropped out of UFC, and he now
I'm losing you again.
got Pat Barry. He's written a book and all that. So a lot of fun with Zach Mikasa. And then of course I'd love to see Gokhan Saki back in the fold. When Gokhan Saki didn't re-sign with us after we set up in 2014 after we reorganized, people were very disappointed. They're like, oh, the CEO's an idiot. He hasn't signed up Gokhan Saki. Well, that didn't mean we weren't trying to sign Gokhan Saki. We were working hard to do that, and we finally signed a contract with him, and now we're waiting for him to come to us and say,
All right.
I'm ready to fight. So as soon as he's ready to fight, we're ready for him. So, those are a couple of my favorites.
All right. Well, for the fans, hope you like this video. Don't forget to like it, share it, and watch Glory 32 Virginia, and like them too on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all that. For now, John, thank you very much for your time. I know you're a busy man, and I will let you do the rest of your job. All right.
All right. Well, thank you very much. It's guys like you that enable us to be able to run. So always happy to talk to you. Call anytime. And as our announcer always says, it's time for glory. So
All right.
see you soon.
See you
Thank you.
definitely soon. All right.